Jones, and I'm so glad to be introducing a guest that is coming on today. I've recently read her book and I will show you all. It's called Bella Bright and the Ghost Game. It's a spooky middle grade book, perfect for this time of year, and I absolutely loved it. And I was a bit scared, and I'm like 43 and it still scared me. So it's an amazing book. Your kids will love it, you will love it, so I urge you all to go out and read it. And today we're going to talk a bit about Carolyn's book. We're going to talk about her journey to writing, what she's doing now, and what is coming up. So let's introduce her. I'll bring her on the show. Hello.
Hello. Hi.
So glad to
Thank
have
you for having me.
We've known each other for, virtually, Twittery known each other and done some work together on, like, you helped me with some editorial stuff with the Amazing Word Witches, which was a huge help to me and my writing, and I would say definitely helped me sort of land my agent, because I was managed to help you, really helped me just like tune in with those picture books and get those as strong as they could be. So thank you.
Wow, you're welcome. Well done to you. Congratulations. It's amazing.
Oh, thank you. I mean, it's been over a year and we're still on the journey. So the picture books are just like so hard at the moment. They're so hard to sell. So we're focusing on my chapter book, which is it's a ghost in it. So that's the main character. So I'm sure that you will enjoy that at some point, hopefully. So that's going out on Subway.
Yeah.
I think she's coming back from holiday next week, so the week after. So fingers crossed for that one. But yeah, so we've known each other for I think it's probably a couple of years now that we've sort of been spoke a bit, and and just to see like what's your journey, and you've been like a mentor with Write Mentor, and now you've brought out your amazing book Bella Bright and the Ghost Game. So I'm really looking forward to hearing all about your journey. So I think, and again, I ask this for everybody, it's like just an introduction into what made you start writing. Have you always known you've wanted to be a writer, or a children's writer specifically?
I did English all through school, and I always loved English lessons and reading books and talking about books and writing poems and things like that. And it wasn't till I got to college where we were doing obviously A-level English language and literature, and one of the homeworks was to write a story, and I was just like, yes, I could do this. This is nice. And all my friends were like, oh my God, how do you write stuff? This is the most awful homework ever. And I thought then, I felt very different to them. And I thought, wow, this is funny. So I wrote a story. It was about an old married couple who won the lottery, and then they like fought over the ticket and they ripped the ticket in half. So not very original, but the teacher read it out to the class, and I was like, oh God. And she said, if that is in the exam, only Carolyn should write a story in this group. So I was like, oh. So I think at that point I thought, maybe I could do this. Maybe I've got like a thing here that I can do that comes easier to me, perhaps. I don't know why. And then fast forward to university, did English at university, and there's such a breadth of things that you do. We did things like we even did like a section on pornography, for God's sake.
Wow.
The Greek myths and tragedies, Shakespeare, of course, tons and tons of different things. So it gave me a real breadth of reading, taught me to like look at text in different ways. And then after university, I wrote a short story called Beloved Boy. And basically about an old man who's really lonely, and he makes himself a son out of cake. It's a bit like the gingerbread man. Yeah. And then his son is like thirsty for knowledge, and his dad realizes that he can't give him everything he needs, so he takes him to school. And on that first morning in school, all the other kids in the playground see him and then fall on him and eat him. So I sent that to Golanx, and surprisingly they wrote back, and I was like, I think this is pretty unusual for a publisher to write back, even with the little that I knew about anything to do with publishing at that point. And they wrote back and they said, it really made us laugh. I thought, hang on, that was hot. I don't understand. I I couldn't understand. And they were like, no, it really made us laugh. First thing you need to do is get an agent. And the second thing, first thing you need to do, have a go at writing a novel. In the second instance, get an agent, and then they, deal with the publishers. So I was like, great, write a novel, get an agent, super easy. Oh, this will be sorted by next week. Oh my days, no. So, and then obviously years and years and years and years of trying, like 9 years of trying, and then eventually, Bella Bright. So I sat down and I thought, what book would I have loved to read when I was 12? And it's obviously going to be about ghosts, because I was always quite a spooky kid. I was into Stephen King very young, and a lot of horror in the library and everything. And I just thought, it would be really cool. There's a book called, don't know if you can see that, The Mistletoe Bride. Is an old story that my mum told me when I was probably in my teens. And that's a brilliant version by Kate Moss, if you want to read it. And it's basically a really creepy. Yes, it's so creepy. And it's about like a game of hide and seek that goes badly wrong. And I just thought, if you could play hide and seek with a ghost as a middle grade thing, what would happen? And that's basically what sparked the story. So yeah, there you go.
Oh, that's
it's a crazy
amazing.
Journey.
Yeah, to hear, we'll talk more about your querying journey, because that sounds so interesting. To like, if you're querying for 9 years, and it just shows that if you're really passionate about it, it will eventually happen for you. And if you're obviously good at doing what you're doing, that right person will come along at the right time. 9 years is long, but you've done so much in that, and like what we spoke about earlier, like you've helped so many people on their journeys, so that must feel really good as well. But so we just quickly spoke about the hide and seek and the main theme of Bella Bright and the Ghost Game. And can you tell us anything else? I mean, I absolutely loved this book, and exactly like you, it would have been something that I would have loved to have read. It did spook me out at my age now, and it would have spooked me out then. But I would have loved that. Like, I loved reading all like the Goosebumps books, and I also read. I don't read really like intense horror, but I do like Stephen King. And like, one of my favourite books I remember when I was probably about 18 was Rose Madder, and that was just one of my favourite books from him. And I would still say that's probably one of my favourite books of all time. And it's so creepy, but I do have a tendency to go down that dark, when I write for older children, that dark sort of side of things. And so it's really interesting to know that's kind of what I've enjoyed. So when you've enjoyed what you've been reading, and then it ends up being what you write, that really shows, and it really shows in your text, and it really just helps, I think, bring your book to what would be already a good book. So much. It's
super interesting that you like Rose Madder, which is not a very well-known Stephen King, because my two favourite Stephen Kings are The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon. I just think that is so
I love that book.
Scary.
Yeah.
And Gerald's Game.
One of the early ones I read of his. Yeah.
Have you read Gerald's Game as well? Oh my goodness.
No, I've not read that one.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's amazing as well. Just the ability to write a whole novel, basically a one-room novel. She's just trapped in a room. I won't spoil it, but just his ability to just keep you on the edge of your seat when you're reading it, thinking, "Oh my God, what is going to happen?"
He is a genius, absolutely. So let's get back to your book. Let's talk a bit more. I don't know if you probably don't want to give any spoilers or anything, but there's some amazing characters in here. Characters that, we all come across when we're young. The girls who think they're better than us, and the girls that move to like a new place and having to make friends. I mean, how often does Bella have to do that? And I love the ending, and I won't tell anyone, but the ending of finding out what happens, and maybe this does or doesn't happen anymore for Bella, is just great. So yeah, anyway, I'll stop talking about your book. Let's hear tell you some more of your inspirations for it, and how did it end up getting to publication? How was that journey for you?
Okay, so Originally I called it Hide and Seek. And what I did at that point, I actually had an agent before who was brilliant. And I went out on sub with a book that was similar, but more of a teen book. And it didn't sell, it didn't work. And that agent got a fantastic job at another agency. So I had to take a really big decision about whether to stay or whether to move on and find a real specialist children's agent who really like champion my work and want to do different age groups, because I wanted to play around with different age groups. So I'd written a CB, like a chapter book that I really loved, and yeah, I'm still working on it now. It's like it's a project of love, that one. And I'd written Hide and Seek, and I knew that I had two strong possibles for a new agent, and I thought I'm going to send them out just to a few, and then if they say no, I can switch them and send the other one. You know what I mean? So I had like two chances with each agent that I really, really, really wanted. And I sent, luckily, Hide and Seek to my agent, Therese, and she read it in one night, and she got back to me really quickly. And she said, I couldn't put it down. I absolutely loved it. You know, she just offered rep straight away, and I was like, oh my God, this is just a dream. It was just a dream come true. It was amazing. So I'd taken a real gamble kind of leaving an agency, and I had to come to terms with the fact that perhaps it wouldn't happen, and it wouldn't happen for me, and I'd had my chance and that was it. But in effect now, knowing that I've got through two slush piles with two different novels, that is a fantastic kind of confidence boost. And that kind of thing is what Emma and I can bring to Word Witches. Like we've absolutely lived the highs and the lows, you know, the kind of every aspect of it, we've been through it and then some. Like between us, we've got years and years and years and years of experience. So having gone through all that, it was just a dream working with Therese. We edited it for a couple of months, and then it went out. But then obviously it was right around COVID. So everything basically stopped, and a lot of people in London couldn't get into their offices, so they couldn't have meetings, so they couldn't make decisions on things. So it was a long time before we heard. But there was always one editor who was really, really, really into it. God love her. And she ended up offering for it. We were like, yeah. Oh, and I got that phone call. I was walking home with my son, and it was really hot, and I'd put a big coat on, and I was so hot and sweaty and fed up, and we'd walked the long way. I don't know what I was thinking. So we were walking up this really long, slow hill, and suddenly my phone started ringing, and I was like, oh, it's Therese. Oh my God, why is Therese ringing me now? And then she was like, oh, guess what? It's happening. And I was just like jumping around, screaming, like wanging my coat around my head. So it was just brilliant. What a brilliant memory. Like an absolute dream come true. And you can't help but think, God, it's like winning the lottery almost, isn't it? Everything has to come up for you. So it has to be the right book with the right person at the right time. It's like ching, ching, ching on one of those one-armed bandits. To use like a phrase my mum uses. Anyway, so yeah, it does take a real element of luck. So I fully appreciate it and fully feel blessed about it. So it's lovely. And then it came out, and at the time Welbeck, the deal was with Welbeck Flame, and they were so collaborative. They were so brilliant. They were asking me, you know, what I thought about the covers, the different ideas that they had, and
so did you
all
see
that kind of thing.
Covers?
Yeah, I saw there was a few different concepts. Yeah, and I said the one with the spiders, because obviously the bit with the spiders was my favourite bit. I don't know if I've got my spider. Yeah, I take him to.
Oh, he's one of the white spiders as well. Ooh.
Yeah, he comes to school events. They love him. So yeah. Yeah, because ghost spiders, right, are really interesting. They actually occur in the UK. We actually have them in the UK, and people are like, what? But they're only 4 millimeters big, between 4 and 8 mil. So they're really, really tiny, like little things. So you probably wouldn't even be aware of one if you saw one. But for the book, obviously, they have to be a bit bigger. Woo!
Yeah.
So they're the size of a Goliath tarantula, which is the biggest spider in the world.
Yeah.
And they hang off telephone wires and eat hummingbirds and things like that. And humans can eat them.
Oh
We
my
can eat them.
goodness.
You can
People
barbecue them.
eat them. Oh no, that's awful.
Yeah. If you can barbecue, you have to barbecue the poisonous hairs off the legs, and then they're fine to eat.
The spiders. Oh. If anyone can see them, yeah.
Oh.
Like, look away. Sorry, we should have mentioned trigger warning. Some people have phobias. It's too late now. Let's get all the spiders out.
Arachnophobics, watch out. Yeah, don't read it. Yeah, you can always skip the spidery bit, but yeah. I think there's a big thing with horror about if you're writing horror, write what you're personally scared of. And I'm not keen on insects and arachnids, not my thing. So hopefully I've caught some of the realism of how I feel with those things. I mean, some of them,
like you'd write it because you obviously love them, so you feel like you could write that. But actually, what you just said makes so much more sense, because if you can feel how your character's going to feel, then you can like put that into words and make someone else feel like that. Whereas if you're not that scared, you're not going to get that across as well. So that's
I appreciate. Yeah, they are wonderful creatures. I really appreciate them, but no, I don't like them. No.
Oh, I wrote a picture book about spiders once, and it was really. I still love it. It's one of my favourites, and I don't even really like spiders. I've not got a phobia, but like I can get them in a glass and put them outside. I don't want to hold them in my hand, but I wouldn't run away from. I've run away from a false widow. I don't like them, but yeah, generally they don't really bother me. But I wrote one about, or we call them daddy long legs, but I think generally up north the daddy long legs is like a crane fly, one of the ones that flies around.
Now we say daddy long legs as well. In Birmingham,
like, that's not a spider. I'm like, no, that's a spider. But also they're called people also call them cellar spiders. When I was writing these books, I don't know where this idea come from. I just learned so much about them, and I was like, no, I keep them. If they're in the house, I let them stay there. I'm like, they eat so much.
Yeah,
massive house spiders. I was like, it's crazy. But anyway, spiders, they're great. They're great for kids. Great for kids. Spooky book.
And death's head hawk moths as well. Yeah. What a fantastic moth! Because again, I am not into moths. I am not into things catching in your hair and like fluttering in your face and stuff. Oh my days. But death's head hawk moths, they are like they can go into a beehive and steal the honey without getting stung, because they release a pheromone that makes the bees think that they are just a big bee, so they like go undercover. They're like the coolest moth. Do these
how big are they like bee size then?
They're the size of your hand. They are big. They are big.
Bees don't go, well, I've never seen a bee that big before. Oh well, pheromones.
No, but they release these. Yeah, they trick them. Yeah, because their abdomens look a bit bee-like. They're like stripy at the bottom. They're very cool.
It's so interesting, isn't it? How it can adapt to do all these sorts of things and trick other creatures into thinking there's something that they're not. It's nature. It's just such an amazing thing.
I was just trying to sneak out the creepiest insects, the creepiest things like death watch beetles as well. They're just vile.
Scary. Yeah. What was that film? Was it the witches film? And it was about the beetle, and it would click if someone was going to die. I think it was with Nicole Kidman. That was a film. Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent there. But was that a death watch beetle?
Practical Magic. Was that in Practical Magic?
I think so. I think it was at the beginning, wasn't it? And the beetle started clicking, and then Sandra Bullock's husband died.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. And Stephen King did something about a ticking in a house where a guy was about to die, or his wife. I can't remember which book that was in, but yeah, there was definitely a ticking. And it's this whole myth of the death watch beetle. Sorry, they click in wood, and they're obviously not linked to death, but I think with their name as well, they're quite emotive. They're not good to have in your house. They're very difficult to get rid of. I did a lot of research about them.
I had this weird insect in my house like last year. I think I put a picture of it on Twitter, and it was called a coach horse beetle, and they're quite long. So they're long with like a couple of different like bulbous bodies, but then they've got like a tail that goes up like a scorpion.
Oh
I was
no.
like, what? I'll find that picture. I will show you it to you. But it was so freaky. So that'd be a great one. I mean, I don't want to write about that, but you can, yeah, you can write about a coach. I'm sure it was called a coach horse beast. I'll find
Oh,
out.
like the devil's coach horse.
Yes,
Oh.
that's it. Yeah, yeah. Oh, that was
Mm.
really. I couldn't believe it. I'd never seen one. I just thought like it'd come over from some other country ready to kill us all. I was like, what is this in a glass? But then when I looked, I googled it. I was like, oh, actually, it's not going to hurt us. Put that in the garden. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, freaky bugs are. Oh, they're amazing, but why are they so scary? Why are they so scary? They're just living creatures. It's just so, yeah. I'm like this now. Oh, you've gone quiet again. Sorry. So I just would explain, when I was chatting with Carolyn earlier, before I come on, her a mute button, I think went on, or a mute wouldn't go off, and it might have happened again, Carolyn. Sorry.
Ah, can you hear me
Oh no,
now?
you're back now.
Yeah. I was going to say, I was just ranting about Michael Crichton because he's written a book called Micro about these people who get minimized and they enter the world of insects. And he has so many amazing scenes in that book about how deadly insects are and how these people have to fight them when they're literally insect size. They are like built to be killers. It is amazing. That is an amazing book if you're into that. Yeah.
Yeah, it does sound really interesting. It also sounds like I'll never sleep again. Like I'll be hoovering all hours. But oh yeah, no, that's really so interesting. But yeah. So I'm going to get off the bug subject because that just starts me off. I'm just like this now. Ooh. But so we'll get back to your book, and we'll talk about its amazing illustrations because it's gorgeous, and there's some lovely like some really amazing pages when you look at like the Darkling Manor, the house, as Bella and Lex are sort of looking at it from the outside. It's just gorgeous, and they're by Beatrice Castro. And it's just amazing. Like how did you feel when you first saw the illustrations and when you first saw like Bella come to life?
I think it's completely wild because you've got this character in your head that just you can fully kind of imagine, and suddenly, you know, somebody else has looked at it and figured it out and worked it out and created. Whoa! I've broken my phone.
Is it all right?
Yeah, it's fine. Oh, hang on. Can you see me? I don't know where I've gone.
Yeah,
oh yeah.
I can see.
My phone keeps turning itself off. So yeah, you've got this character in your head, and you know what they look like, and you know their mannerisms, and you know how they talk, and you know how they move, and suddenly like somebody else has got in on it and they've created, and I just looked at Bella and I was like, oh my God, that is Bella. She's been brought to life. And now other people can see what was in your head. Obviously, as a picture book author, that is incredible for you guys as well. Like, it's insane. It's literally insane. Your imagination made flesh. It's just brilliant. It's amazing. Yeah. There's nothing like it. You just can't explain it. It's just brilliant.
Yeah, and I've not like heard, even when I've heard like stories from people, they've gone, actually it wasn't quite what I expected or quite what I'd imagined, but generally always seems so overwhelmed and happy with how it's turned out. Like they're either think what they've imagined and now it's better, or it's just something, or they've imagined it and it's just a completely different, it could be a different animal, or it could be a complete, like I think it was Tracy Caldwell had mentioned that she'd wrote a book and it was a creature and then it ended up being a rhino. She was like, but it was supposed to be a mouse, I think, and like, but she was so happy with what the illustrator had done. But what I really loved is how sort of like the ghost and Bella are just very similar, like how you've weaved that in your story throughout, and why
they're like two sides of the same coin. That's how I think of them. Like you know, maybe Bella would have been like Alice if she'd have been born in the time that Alice was born in, and brought up in such a lonely environment that Alice was in. Because Bella's just got her mom and Alice has just got her dad. So yeah, it's quite a few similarities between them. Bella can't see it at all. Bella's like, what? When I think Scarlet accuses her of looking exactly the same. You look the same.
Yeah.
Like, is this some sort of Halloween trick? What are you doing? And Bella's like, no, we don't look the same. But yeah, Zalis is all dripping wet as well, obviously, and like really creepy.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing more scary than a child, especially a girl ghost, is there? Like, I feel like, and again, that's obviously a Stephen King thing. You know, seeing children ghosts with the long plaits, that, you know, they're just the most freakiest of things. I don't know if I'd probably rather come across like a ghost bug or a ghost girl. I think a bug I'd probably choose, because they're scary, really scary. But make such an amazing character for this book, especially.
A little naughty expression on there as well on the cover, like Alice is just like optimistic.
I can't do it. Trying to do a half smile, but it doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
So when it comes to writing, so you've mentioned that you write other books, and we'll find out more if you're writing anything at the moment. Do you a plotter, a pantser? Do you mix it up a bit? Do you have any specific ways in which you write, or that you find it for you?
Usually, if some sort of idea grabs me, I'll usually just pants like as many chapters as I can of whatever it is that's grabbing me, and then I feel like at least I've caught that bit of the book, because it's almost like the story's floating around in your head, and you catch it and just make it real, don't you? And after that, I'll do, if I like how it's come out, I'll do a synopsis and some pictures, and then I know what I'm kind of aiming for, and then I'll keep going. And the further in that I get, the more that I do have to face planning. I don't like planning. I'm not a natural planner. If I've done it before where I've over planned, and I just end up not writing it because it's sort of put too much sort of like of a parameter in, so I feel like I can't be creative and spontaneous with it, so it loses the joy of the writing for me. So I give myself a very sort of fine framework, as it were, and then I can just keep going. But the more you get into it, the more you do need to face it. You do have to plan some things. You can't just invent the whole thing. But yeah, the drafting is the most fun part for me. I love drafting. I love starting books. I've got so many different middle grades and young adults that I've started, and it's just kind of like start them and just leave them, and then when I go back to them, if I think, whoa, this is actually really good, then I know that I can carry on. So that, yeah, they're all just sitting on my laptop. Hope my laptop doesn't crash, touch wood.
Email it to yourself. I know that everyone says back stuff up, but like I'm so bad at that. But I just tend to, once I know I'm quite happy with how I've got it to that point, whether I've finished it or whether I'm like halfway through or a page or whatever, I'll just email it to myself, because I can access it anywhere if anything does happen. So that's
the joy of Google Mail.
I can give. Email yourself. But yeah, no, it's really interesting, because I feel we're quite similar actually. I have so many books that I've started and I've not yet finished that I do go back to every now and then, and I feel like inspired to write that because I've read it. I'm like, oh yeah, I really want to write that again. So it's interesting to find other people that have similar ways that you do. So yeah, that was really good to know. So we did speak a bit earlier about your querying journey and how you that you're now represented by Therese Cohen at Susanna Lee Associates. I didn't know that you was previously agented, so that's a journey for you, and how difficult it must have been for you to make that decision, like you said, when your agent left to go to another. That must have been really hard. Could you if you feel comfortable, do you want to tell us a bit more of how you came to that decision, and how you're feeling like your journey with your agent is going? Got any tips?
Yeah, it was just like I said, I just reached a point where my original agent moved agencies, and there was a non-compete clause, which is the legal thing where they can't take, clients. Well, I don't really know. Who knows how it works? But I inherited another agent from that agency who was fantastic as well, fantastic. But then I'd started doing much younger stuff, and it wasn't something that fit with what she wanted to do potentially going forward. So we'd reached the point of like I was really like enjoying doing the younger, and it was just like, oh, do I stay? Do I go? Do I stay? Go? And I think a lot of this kind of stuff happens, and people don't necessarily talk about it. So it's really interesting for people who are, you know, going for the mentoring or thinking about writing long term, or in that situation themselves where they think, you know, I've reached a point where I have to do something, I have to, you know, change. And it's a gigantic decision, because potentially you're threatening your whole, you know, your whole potential fledgling career. It's like, what do you do? What do you do? It's so difficult. But luckily for me, it was the right move at the right time. And from their side of it, it's all business. You know, as long as you're a decent human being with these people, they, you know, it's a small industry and everyone knows everyone. You have to be, you know, decent and honourable how you behave, I would say. So if you're, you know, whatever you have to do, just do it in the right way. That's very, very important, ethically and morally, and to, you know, make sure everybody's okay and everybody's communicated with, type of thing. But yeah, it's been brilliant working with Therese. She's got an amazing stable of authors, superb people, and I think Alex Bell has written some terrifying horrors. Have you heard of Frozen Charlotte?
I haven't, no.
Oh my goodness, you have to get on that. So that is part of the Red Eye books. She's written 2, Frozen Charlotte, and there was a follow-up as well. My daughter's got them upstairs. She borrowed them off me. I've got to get those back. But if you find dolls creepy, oh my days, you need to get into that.
I find everything.
Everything is creepy. Alex has written middle grade and young adult, so she's kind of got the dream career. She's done loads and loads and loads of books. And also Therese has another author, Mia Cousinar. Oh my, gorgeous lyrical, gorgeous writing. So it's a lovely kind of group of writers to be in with, and it's just been, everything's been just so much fun. I mean, once you go down the path, when you're lucky enough to get a deal, it's just brilliant fun, just kind of watching everything unfold and following the steps that you go down, the different edits that you have to do. What can you say? It's living the dream.
Oh, it's so good to hear, because I think everyone's experiences are so different. So hearing that your experiences have been so positive will really help others, I think, that are out there and they're like querying, or similar to, they might have had an agent and now are not with them and they're looking again. Just having that positive experience and hearing someone else's journey, to know that this can happen, I think is just it's amazing. It's an amazing thing for you to share. So thank you for sharing that, because it will really help people that are struggling, or like, even if, you know, that just imposter syndrome is just, I think we all get it at all points in our life. So just knowing that, just if you don't give up, like, you know, and you're passionate about what you do, just believe it will happen one day and just keep trying, because that's all you can do, and it will eventually happen for you.
I used to do a lot of I would really recommend having a go at the short forms, so flash fiction, short stories for your local newspaper, poems, blogs, anything that you can do. Keep a Word document of all your wins, so all your little things that you get published, all the things that you win, competitions that you're shortlisted, you're longlisted. Keep a big record of it, because it's useful when you're querying. It shows that you're flexible and you can write different things, and you can write, you know, you can follow instructions and you can enter competitions, and that you can do different things. So all of those kind of skills are brilliant to develop. I think flash fiction is really powerful because it encourages you to really go deep down and look at every single word. Every single word is so crucial, and kind of when you do get to novel length, that's what you have to do, but just on a grander scale, you know, more millions of words.
Oh, so so many words. Like it's so different. I think like because we like this is for the Kidlit community, and you know, I started off as a picture book writer, so it was like I'm thinking I'm writing around 500 words, and I found that really doable for me. And then I was like, I'm just going to experiment because I want to write something. I've got this YA idea, and just writing that amount of words for me, that's really hard to do.
Same.
Time wise, mainly, like, and procrastination wise, I
Yeah.
like, so
and just the physical storification of like how to build the story around certain chapters, doing certain things, you know, following the patterns that you have to follow, all the points that you have to hit, the plot points. There's a real knack to it. So I've got like a weird theory. So if you want to get an agent, you really need to
it's no easy
you need to be able to not only be a brilliant writer, but storifying it, you know, making it gripping and making the voice be just something that you want to dive into and just read all the way through. And to it like a cracking ending and stuff like that. And the third one's concept. So if you've got all three of those, if you're a brilliant writer and you've storified it perfectly and you've got a brilliant concept, you will get an agent. And if you've got two of those, as long as you've got concept as one of them, you might very well get an agent. So you just got to try and build all those three things. The algebra.
It's hard, isn't it? Like, I know through like working and through own experiences that having like these strong ideas they're all so great. If you like, I read some really strong ideas, but when the writing isn't there to back it up, it's like it's so hard to, because when you're reading them and you really want these, because I know what it's like to be querying and really just put your heart into wanting the right agent. But and I'm like, I want this book to be amazing, and then like you read it and you know it could be better. It's really hard. From on the other side, it's really, really hard.
I forgot that's your actual job, isn't it? I forgot that's your new job.
Yeah.
Wow. So is that actually right? So it's like, for me, for advising people, it's like concept, and then your actual physical writing, and then your storification skills. For me, it's those three things. So I think if you've got all three of those, you will get an agent. But the concept is king. They always say concept is king, don't they? So it's just that killer idea.
I mean, you could be an amazing writer, but if there's not a strong concept there, that book's not going to sell. So you know, and an agent might take you on because they might think your writing's amazing anyway, and they might say, well, there is something in you. We want you, but unfortunately, when you read a book and that book isn't there, but you go, well, but the writing's beautiful, but the story isn't there, or there's like no plot or anything like that, it's not really gonna, it's very, very unlikely anyway to bag you an agent, because agents work so hard and they've got so much to do, they've got so much to read, and they're working on their own clients, and that takes up all their time. How on earth, like our agents, we all read like as a team, so how we all fit everything in together. I'll say I'm not an agent, but like I want to be, but like how they're reading as well, and we're all working together, but they have so much other stuff to do that unless the book is really going to just, they know that there's something they can do with that, and they can sell that, it's going to be really difficult for them to be able to have that space to put as much effort they're going to have to do into you to work with you to get that book ready to go out on submission. So absolutely, like you do need all those three things. But I think on rare occasions, if there's an agent does see something in someone's writing, but that story isn't quite there, it might be enough. But it would just depend on what the agent is looking for at that point, or whether
and how much time they've got.
It's like it's really hard, but definitely I think, for, you know, on average, what you need if you want to get an agent is you need all those three things. You need a good story, it needs to work, and you need to be a good writer. Like everything has to tie up. You've got to have the beginning, middle, and end, and it has to work. If it doesn't, and there's all these plot holes, it's not gonna. There's going to be too much work for an agent to have to do with you, and they will think, although your writing might be beautiful, you're not at that stage where your writing is good enough, because I think all these
as
moments.
as a like a Write Mentor competition reader, and surely you've been reading a lot of writing now, obviously. There are a lot of people who can write beautifully, beautiful writers, lots and lots and lots of. There's much fewer who can storyfy it, and there's even fewer concepts that are amazing. So it does get, that's, I think that's the scale, isn't it? There's a lot of people who can write excellently, less who can storyfy, and then concepts are really rare that you find a concept that's like, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. It's the whole thing. It has to blow you away in a way, like, because stories have been told over and over again. Like when you think of hide and seek, I mean, there's stories like this, but what you've done is you've turned it on its head and made it into something that's completely your own, and you've done it in your writing is really strong as well. So you've made a story that is like a trope that has been done, but you've turned it into something that is your own. Your heart is in that, and you've got really strong writing to back it up, and everything works. You know, if you're looking at all the beats in your story, they all tie in together and they all work really well, and you hit them all, and you hit that all the way through, and you've got that build up. You know, we all talk of the 3-act structure, but it's always going to be there in books. We want that build up. We want to get to that point, and we need to have our heart in our throats to know whether or not what is going to happen to this character. And if that isn't happening and we're not feeling anything, that story might be great, but it's not quite there, and that's really, really hard. And it's hard because you might have been falling in love with this story, but you're just like, oh, it's just not got you where it needs to get you at that right beat. And it's like, it's hard. It's hard from both sides, but seeing
it's
it
hard
from the now,
because as well, it's so subjective. It's massively subjective, isn't it? It's really, really is. But some people, not everybody's going to love even the most popular things, and it's crazy, really. The whole publishing industry is completely bonkers.
Absolutely. Like, I mean, I'm not saying I didn't like the book, but like where the Crawdads Sing, I didn't love it. I read it, I thought it was a good book, but I didn't fall in love with it. Like, it took me a long time. I read it all the way through, but like I wasn't hooked immediately. It took probably like a good 2/3 of the way before I was like, oh, I'm desperate to know what happens now. Like, and I only really carried on with it because my husband was like, just read it, it's so good. And I'm like, oh God. But it's so well written, but the story wasn't quite there for me. Like, it's how subjective it is, because that book is done so well. So it is an amazing book. But for me, I didn't love it. And it's just one of those things, isn't it? And I hate the phrase writing is subjective, but I love it because I love how we all find pleasure and we all find excitement in different things, and that's what makes us all unique, and that's what makes us all creative in our own ways, and that's what makes us be able to write completely different stories to what someone else is, using maybe a trope that has been done 100 million times, but turning it into something that hasn't been done. And that's it's hard. And that's, my recent chapter book story, it's about it's based in a witch school. I mean, how many books are that? But like, it's something a bit different, and finding those concepts and finding those ideas and making them work it's hard. But I love it, and
it's magic.
It gives me so much happiness and pleasure, and I don't know what I'd be doing otherwise. Like, I'd probably still be sewing and just moaning about it, because I like sewing as a hobby, but I didn't like sewing for my business, which is what I'd done before, because I was just struggling with.
You did sewing? That's amazing.
So I've always been creative. I've always I've always written, actually, but not always written for children, but I've always written from a really young age, like poetry and stories and stuff like that. But I've always had like a creative, wanted to do some. I've always tried drawing. I cannot draw, but I've always tried it.
Me too.
Just full of this energy that needs to get out. It's probably ADHD, but we still have to put that down into like, I think this creativity is just coming out of me. But and I've tried music, and I'm not very good at that. I'm a bit.
It's really funny because I tried to be an artist. I bought those, canvases, and I bought some paint, and I was like, I can do it. And I did this like close-up version of like a zebra skin, and I hung it in the lounge, and I thought it was amazing, but it was really bad.
Is it still hanging up in the lounge?
No. No. I don't know where that's gone. In the bin where it belongs. It's ridiculous. Oh my god.
And this is what I love. So yeah, like writing it is subjective, but it gives us all something different, and that is just the best thing, especially when it comes to books, because I love books. But I can see we've still got some questions to go, and we're not that far away from the hour, so we best get on. I am loving our chat though, but I feel like we've had a chance.
Random.
But I want to talk about word witches, because like I said earlier, they were just amazing. Like you and Emma are just like amazing, amazing writers, and a brilliant team of you both coming together. So, and like I said, I've used you before. I think it was probably like 3 or 4 stories actually I've come to you with in the past. But do you want to tell us a bit more about the word witches and how you both come together, and some of the services that you offer, in case anybody is interested? And I definitely recommend, if you want to hone some of your skills.
Yeah, so I moved back from Manchester and ended up living in a little village outside Wolverhampton on this big, long, beautiful road. And Emma lived at the other end. So we didn't know each other. And then I had 3 kids and Emma's 5 kids. And we kept crossing over. And our kids go to different schools, but one was at the north and one was at the south side. So we were crossing paths quite a lot, and we got talking. And I said, oh, hi, buddy. And we were like, and she was like, I love writing. Da, da, da. And I was like, wait, what? You love writing? I love writing. And we were like, yeah, I love writing. Yeah. And then I said, I love writing, but I haven't got time. So I've got 3 little kids. And she's like, I have got time, and I've got 5 kids. So I was like, whoa. Okay.
I must make time.
I thought, if Emma can do it, I can do it. Yes. So, and then we were both really into horror always, and we were both kind of supported each other immediately we were doing a lot of flash fiction then, and we were both on, there's a brilliant website called Creative Inc, and we were doing paragraph planets, and we were entering competitions, and we were doing all kinds of stuff like that. And then she was she wrote a novel, and she got an agent, and I was like, wow, this is the path that I must follow, this is amazing. And then between us, as the years went by, we both got agents, and we were doing different things. And then she got published with her amazing Autumn Moonbeam books. And then I got published with Bella. Yeah. I've got mine somewhere. Where's mine? I don't know where mine. Mine is so nice.
I've got the first one. I've got Spooky Sleepover out as well. So.
So we went through all this together, and then we set up a local writing group because between us we knew some other writers as well, and we've got this really close kind of writing group. There's about 5 of us, and including one very, very famous adult author, romance author. Josie Silver.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. We've got some big people in our group. And then so we did that, and then Skylark Literary said that they were going to go on a tour, and I saw that on Twitter, and I jokingly messaged them, would you come to Wolverhampton? Ha ha. And they were like, yes. So Emma and I organised this amazing meeting in this massive village hall. We hired it all out. We had a massive raffle, and we had Skylark Literary came and did a massive talk. I was the compere. I was so nervous. Oh my god. So we were doing amazing things like this, bringing literature and all these kind of writing things and creativity and all this. And then we both got our deals, and we always were into editing big time. And we were working a lot with Write Mentor, and we said we can do some more bespoke things, some things that Write Mentor doesn't do. We can actually offer. We can do things faster if needed. We can do bits and bobs, whatever people need who know us. Yeah, and then we set it up and we do all kinds of things. We do picture books, chapter books, lower middle grade, young adult, anything to do with Kidlit. Whatever people need. So they can just contact us. We're on Twitter. We absolutely love it. It's such an honour to work with people like you, Arden, and loads and loads and loads of different people who just write for fun. Some people, they just want a little bit of help or a beta read or, just some kind of feedback or tons of different things. So it's a complete honour. It's so enjoyable. Yeah, we love it. We're always going to do it. We'll always love it. What is right meant to do?
Since after I think I'd had like a couple of editorials with you both, and so I'm like recommended you straight away to like one of my, well, actually I think to both of my picture book critique groups that I was in at the I'm still in, and like it was like okay, and then they was like, oh, I spoke to Carolyn now, and I've emailed her, and I was like, oh god, it's like I'm so sorry, you're now like going to be inundated, but I'm still, that's a good thing. I'm still recommending you.
I love doing picture books. I love it because I've written a couple in my time, but some that come in are just.
I can't hear you again. Don't know what's happened. Oh
no.
Oh no, you're back. Yes.
There you go. I just had a small break. It's the ghosts. Oh, yes. It's the ghosts.
Because see, have you watched Ghosts? So, like, do you like the program Ghosts?
I've seen season 1 or most of season 1. I've got a lot more to watch because there's a lot of it now.
Yeah. I'm just imagining the ghost coming up, going, really using all her concentration to try and touch your phone.
Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, it's completely wonderful to get to work with different writers, different stages. It's just complete fun. It's an honour. It's a complete honour. So, and I was just saying as well, working with Write Mentor in the different capacity that we do with them is brilliant. We get to do competition reading. We get to do summer mentoring, which is amazing because that's the free mentoring, which just means that we work kind of more long term with writers who are potentially almost at a point where their manuscripts are almost ready to sub, and just supporting them through the submission process. So that free summer mentoring has changed a little bit, and it's worked really well this summer. I've got 2 amazing mentees this summer, one in America and one in Scotland. So yeah, they're fantastic. Really, really good. And both of them are well, one's horror and one's historical, so really, really interesting to work with them with their different books. Fantastic writers, just really fantastic writers. So if I get gripped by something, I know there's something magical there. You know what I mean? After you've read a lot of different work, and especially when you competition read, you get to read a lot over a very quick period. You see instantly what writing stands out, and their writing, whoa, blew me away. So yeah, that's always a pleasure.
Yeah,
always a pleasure.
Amazing when that happens, isn't it? When you feel like you might have got to a point where you're just like, I just want something really like you worry, you're thinking I've read quite a few now, but then something comes along and you're like, wow, that is what is one of the big things. I've done some mentoring for some picture book authors last year, and it was only supposed to be for one, but I couldn't choose between 2 because they was just both such amazing writers with such amazing stories, and so I ended up mentoring both of them. But their text stood out so much, amongst like so many other texts that I'd read, but I still knew that I could help them, which was the one that I read. I was like, well, you don't even need my help. There's not much I can do because this is ready. I might be able to talk an odd bit, but for mentorship, you want to find writers that with stories that you love, but that you know that you can help on their journey. And that's a really, I think it's difficult. I think that's quite difficult to be able to judge what you can do to help make that better.
Because you've got to bear in mind, the time period you're working over and what you can add and what you can physically do. And and a lot of people don't need it. You know, they enter those things and actually their work is amazing, and it's just that confidence of like, go for it.
Yeah, and I think like for writers that they might not know like that their work is amazing, or they might feel like it is, but they just need that recognition. Like they need someone to say, don't need this. Just start on your querying journey. I'm urging you to go, like, you know, because
agents will love you. Go for it.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, I love it.
It's amazing.
That's what you've got to do. You've got to help people, you know, come along after you. You can't be like, you know, just looking upwards. You've got to help as many people up. You know, come on, you can do it. Your voice is needed. You can do it. It's lovely.
Oh, I'm looking forward to learning more about, or hopefully hearing some more about the authors that you've worked with. So I'll be keeping an eye out for those, and hopefully seeing their books out there one day. That would be amazing. But how about you? Can you tell us what you're working on at the moment? Are you allowed? If I know publishing is so secretive that that's what I know.
It's the most torturous industry ever, because you have amazing life-changing news. Yeah, and they're like, don't talk about it for 2 years, thanks. It's like, oh my
god! I will put this on my show.
I've got some really good news potentially in the future that potentially I can share. Something really exciting coming in the pipeline, but nothing at the moment. I'm not allowed to talk about anything. So yes. Good things are in the pipeline.
Yeah. So, okay. Aside from things that are in the pipeline, have you got any more ideas for stories that you want to work on? Are you thinking of doing any different genres, or are you just still working for children? Would you think you'd go to adult or anything like that ever in the future? Do you think? I didn't want any more questions. I'm just asking.
I think everything I do always ends up horror. So even if I start off with really cute like bunnies, they're always going to wind up going under the lawnmower. You know, something terrible.
Brilliant.
Now there's a picture book idea. I can't believe I just said that. Oh my god! I'm not going to write that.
Lawnmower rabbit.
Bunny versus blades.
Oh my god! Yes.
Stop!
You know what? I'm imagining a bunny actually fighting with Blade the vampire now, to be fair. Like.
Oh my god, vampire rabbit. We should brainstorm on. Anyway,
yes, let's do that. I'm well up for that.
So everything always winds up horror. I think I'm really, really looking at doing a few little bits with in young adult. I really, really am always drawn to young adult. Because you can just take the horror that little bit further. So instead of being like PG-12, you can go like 15. You can like have some, you know, torture. No, not really. But you know what I mean? You can go that little bit further. Yeah, you can have spiders that drink your blood maybe instead of just run over your ankle. But yeah, it's cool. So, I freaked myself out with the rabbit thing, actually.
I'm so looking forward to reading a story about some vampire rabbit or a rabbit that's killed by a lawnmower that now hunts all gardeners. Like,
oh my day, the haunted lawnmower.
Haunts all gardeners.
Yeah. It's wrong. That is wrong. But yeah, exciting things to come.
Oh, this is brilliant. I'm just so excited to hear more. But yeah, I'm just so glad that you've come on the show, because we spoke about it a while ago, and I've been like, because I'm now booking quite in advance, because I'm now cutting down actually Kidlit Live to once a month because of working full time and writing and mumming.
It's a lot.
It's just a lot to do.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
I absolutely love chatting with you. I feel like I could chat with you for days and days. So we'll have to have another catch up again at some point. But thank you so much for coming on. I wish you all the luck with your exciting new news that you can't tell us about, and some more horror stories coming. So that would be amazing.
Yes.
Oh, thanks, Carolyn. It's been so lovely.
You. Thank you. Bye.
See you later. Oh, I really enjoyed chatting with Carolyn. She's just great. I just feel like there's questions that I still have that I didn't ask because we just chatted and went off on our tangents. But that's just what I love about it being live, that this is what you can do. So I'm really glad that Carolyn came on. I do urge everyone to go out and get her book, Bella Bright and the Ghost Game. It's an amazing middle grade story and you will love it. Your kids will love it. And it's the perfect time. Halloween is around the corner. So get buying this book. So thank you all so much for tuning in. I've had a great time and I will see you again in November. So have a great Halloween. Don't get up to anything too spooky. Enjoy all your chocolates and enjoy trick-or-treating or however you celebrate. And I will see you all soon. See you later.